Maria, through my business experience, I've actually sat across the table from leaders of the Chinese Communist Party. I know exactly what they're doing, and they are using their economic coercion tactics in order to gain access to our supply chain.
And that was Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin on how his state is standing up to the Chinese Communist Party in their quest for global domination. Also taking a firm stance against China's aggression is South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who has made it a priority to stop China from buying valuable farmland in her state. Governor Noem also recently banned the CCP-backed social media app TikTok from state government electronic devices as the U.S. faces a surge in Chinese espionage inside America. Joining me right now is the woman herself. She is South Dakota Republican Governor Kristi Noem. Governor, great to have you this morning. Thanks for being here.
Oh, good morning, Maria. Thank you for inviting me.
What can you tell us about the CCP's behavior and efforts to buy up land in your state?
Well, you know, they haven't got a foothold here in South Dakota yet, but we're determined to stop them before they do. Maria, South Dakota will be the home of the next generation bomber that will be protecting the United States of America for the next 25 to 30 years. We're excited that we were chosen to be the home of that platform, but also recognize the responsibility that comes with it. We're not going to allow China to purchase up land anywhere near that Air Force base so they can conduct surveillance on us or owned an asset that is within our borders that they could use to destroy the United States of America. I hope every state takes it as seriously as South Dakota has. We have been extremely aggressive on this, and we will make sure that they aren't purchasing our land. But I was the first governor to take action to ban TikTok here in our state, and we saw over 24 different states take action and Congress after that. So we're thankful that other people are waking up to how China is using all of its assets to conduct surveillance on the American people. They have a 2,000-year plan to destroy this country. They're very determined to do it and use all the tools in their toolbox. That is why it is important that we wake up now and we stop their infiltration into our way of life.
Well, you are being tougher on the CCP than President Biden is, which is why we're constantly questioning this soft approach on this dominance from China. It's interesting. I'm glad you mentioned the bomber, because that has been the path. Whether it's the balloon over our military installations where there are nuclear facilities or buying up land close to these military installations. What is the goal here?
Well, the goal is to control us and to destroy us. That China recognizes that the only way that they can have world dominance is to take out the United States of America. We stand in their path, and they will use their own enemies, such as Russia or North Korea or Iran, to partner in unique ways to destroy us. So we need to wake up every single day recognizing what they've been doing for generations. I've been involved in ag policy for 25 years. I served on the Armed Services Committee while I was in Congress. I recognized and saw them buying up our fertilizer companies, our chemical companies, buying our processing systems. They're buying our food supply so they can control us, not only manipulating their currency, stealing our IP. Now they're purchasing our land so they can have a foothold right here in the center of the United States of America to conduct surveillance on our defense systems. It's alarming. And it's very strange for South Dakota to have to be this aggressive, but when you have a lack of leadership in the White House, we have to do what we can do to protect our people.
Tell me about TikTok. What is the national security threat as you see it?
Oh my goodness, they are using that platform to spy on our people, to communicate with them. It can be manipulated, the algorithms within it, to change perceptions. It also can be hacked into and utilized to access people's keystrokes, to gain access to their financial information. It is alarming to what that tool can do. And they were very smart in when they released this app. They released it during a time when people were home and bored and wanted something to bring a smile to their face, and they used that against us. And Maria, what's concerning to me is the American people even willing to be inconvenienced to be safe anymore? Will they even be inconvenienced anymore to continue to be free? We've seen that China and the Communist Party in control over there will destroy their own people to get world dominance. What will America do just to stand up and to be free? Will we at least quit using an app that they're using against us?
And what about about that? What about that app? What do you want to say to parents who may have their kids have TikTok on their phone? You've banned it on government devices, but how much of a threat is it to ordinary American families?
Sit your kids down, have a conversation. Tell them to knock it off. Tell them they slept in their beds last night safe and secure because of sacrifices that were made for this country, and that to respect that, they should not allow our enemies to come right into their homes and to manipulate their thoughts and their minds and how they feel about the United States of America. Maria, if we lose this country, where do we go? Where do they go? What's a better opportunity for the American dream than right here? So, we're pretty proud of our state, that we're leading the country in our economy. We have the #1 incomes in the nation right now, a 2.1% unemployment. We were the only state not to close businesses. We're the only state not to mandate or to tell people to stay in their homes. We're proud of that. We're thriving. Even with all the snow up here and cold, we're doing great. And I think that South Dakota can be a beacon for freedom to this country, whether it comes to national security issues, securing our border, or even giving people more opportunities to grow their incomes and have a strong economy.
Well, 2% unemployment is just outstanding. Real quick, Governor, what are your thoughts on the food supply? This was something you raised as they want to buy up the agricultural land. What would they do?
Oh, my goodness, they would completely control us. If we think a pandemic was scary, wait until you can't feed your children and what people will do. By purchasing up the entire processing chain and then purchasing the land, they might not only control that land, they may use it for nefarious purposes, such as surveillance on our platforms, but they also could use it to keep productivity out of there. I've long believed that we need family farms out here on the land. We need family farms because diversity and many people growing our food supply means that one person doesn't control it. It means that it's safer and it's more affordable for every single family. And that's why so many people in this country need to appreciate that we grow our own food in the United States.
All really important points. Governor, thank you very much. We'll be watching your leadership. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, thank you so much.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.